Hello, welcome to video. So while I was tucked away sleeping at night, CD Projekt Red decided to unveil The Witcher 4 at the Game Awards, and this was a shocker to everybody. Now, there has been a massive uproar when it comes to this game, mostly positive, but there has been a couple people here and there not very happy with a few decisions made. The first being that we're playing as Ciri. Now, we're going to go through the trailer, notice a few things, break it down. There are some very important aspects, but the vast majority of it is just a cool trailer to introduce us to this game and unveil it. The vibe of this trailer already was just the same as any CGI we've had from The Witcher 3. It reminded me a lot of the Hearts and Stone expansion. So before we kind of get into the complaints of the fan base, before we get into my thoughts about it, let's go through it, dissect it a little bit, and then we'll move on. So the trailer starts off with this chick who's going to get sacrificed for her village. It seems more like a side quest, like in The Witcher 4. It really does. Let's fast forward a little bit. And the first good shot we get are the double swords. Now, somebody has pointed out that one of these swords is Geralt's. So we don't know if that's just an Easter egg for the trailer, or if you get his sword, which would definitely be cool. And the big reveal, boom, we're playing as Ciri. There is so much to talk about, because some people are not happy about this. Now, I think it makes a lot of sense to play as Ciri. Not necessarily that she's a witcher, but just to play as her. Some people say no, her story is finished. I don't see it. Geralt's story is finished, but Ciri was still young, so she had a lot of time. She could have done a lot of things, a lot of story to go through, and she's just a great character. I remember when The Witcher 3 released that people were asking if they're going to do DLC, can we play as Ciri? If they make a Witcher 4, maybe play as Ciri. There were rumors and speculation that the game was going to be set many years before the events of The Witcher 3, to the age of the Witchers when they were all out in abundance, which would have been cool. But I do think this is the correct way to go. A lot of people seem to be upset because there might be a possibility it turns a little bit woke, and if it does go woke, that's going to kill us. But I don't see it yet. All I see is a couple developers going back and forth from CD Projekt Red, but there's nothing in this trailer to suggest any sort of wokeness. And that's the main focus that I want to see. If it gives me a single hint, then I'll attack it. But so far, this just looks like a badass trailer. And she doesn't look like this overpowered female protagonist that can do whatever she wants, because you'll see later on, she gets beat up a lot. Now, another comment that was made is that she looks too masculine, which is a bit of a strange comment. I don't see the masculine features, I'll be real with you. She looks hot. I don't know if you guys disagree. If you don't think she's hot, you might be gay. But more than just, you know, a pretty face, she looks badass with the scars, the blemishes, the white hair. She does look a little bit older. She's probably in her like early 30s, maybe mid 30s. She went through the Witcher mutation ritual, what the grasses, the trial of the grasses, so that will slow down her aging process. So we don't know how far along the events of this game are from The Witcher 3. It could be 5 years, 10, 30. In general, I think Ciri looks super cool, super badass. I'm down to play as this character. The only reason I don't like to play as female characters is if there's romance options, because if I'm a dude, I romance chicks. If I play as a girl, I'm not going to romance dudes, because it just seems a bit weird. So, I mean, maybe I'll be a lesbian Ciri. Anyway, the next thing we need to focus on is actually her medallion, because this is not a known school. It looks like School of the Lynx, which has been theorized by many players for many months. So that is cool. She maybe finds it herself and creates her own school, or finds an existing one. We'll fast forward just a little bit, and we see her drink the potion, and this is when everybody knew, yep, she's a witcher. But if we didn't know it then, we know it right now. This is so badass. I'm sorry. I can see some people making some valid criticisms, but if you're mad just because it's a chick, I think you're a bit ridiculous. Anyway, we see the battle, use some magic. Now, this is a point that I want to also talk about, because she uses a lightning spell, but she grabs it from the wall, from water running. So I don't know what this is. Oh, also the chains, if you're wondering. We don't know if it's going to be in the game, but this has already been a call out to The Witcher 1. Anyway, the Witchers also, once they go through mutations, get enhanced strength, which is why she's so easily able to cut down the spider legs. Some Igni. Reels him in. And no mercy. That is pure badassery. And then the trailer ends with her scolding the people saying they're not humans, they're monsters or something along those lines. And looks like this would be the point of the game, if we were playing, where we could grab the other sword, the steel sword, and kill them, which I would do. She seems to have more emotion than Geralt, which is normal, because Geralt went through the mutation when he was younger, which took a hold of him, because witches don't actually feel emotion, so that makes sense. Let's go through a couple things. CD Projekt Red did come out, and they said that Ciri was always the plan. Players did want to have the option of playing as a man or a woman, and that is not a great idea for The Witcher. Now, for a game like Skyrim or Dragon Age, it's great, but for a game like The Witcher, it's a narrative-focused game that requires a lot of focus on the actual character. It's like how the Assassin's Creed games have changed. Before we used to have Ezio and Edward Kenway, and people love those characters, but now we have Cassandra, and no one cares about Cassandra or Lexios because you can't create a super personal story when the actual story doesn't cater to a specific character, if that makes any sense. I think it does. Anyway, they do go on to say in the interview that it wasn't random. They had discussions 9 years ago where they were talking about who's next, and the very instant answer was Ciri. There are many reasons behind that. We've already mentioned a few, but she really deserves a stage and want players to really experience her story because she has so much to tell, so much to prove. The amount of challenge that are in front of her give us so many amazing energy and fuel to create an epic saga that we had no choice but to go with. We all felt this was the way. I believe this is the super right choice. And again, I really do agree. I don't see a problem with having Ciri as the main protagonist. She's already an established character that people generally really liked from The Witcher 3. But we've got to see what the people of Reddit have to say, which is always the most fun part. Can someone explain to me, how did Ciri undergo the trial of grasses? Because we need to also understand, in terms of story, narrative, and lore, women do not go through the Witcher mutation. They are not physically strong enough to go through it. There's never been a female Witcher. My view on this is, if there was ever to be a female Witcher, if there was ever to be a woman character strong enough to go through the Witcher mutation, the trial of the grasses, and survive, it would be Ciri. She has elder blood. She's crazy powerful. She was trained by witches from a young age. I feel like this would make sense, that if anyone was to do it, it would be her. But anyway, back to this person's comment. Last we saw Ciri, she was a young woman facing her destiny. But now, as depicted in the new cinematic trailer shown at The Witcher 2024 Game Awards, Ciri is a fully fledged Witcher hunting monsters for profit. Kalemba explains that following the events of The Witcher 3, Ciri has undertaken the famously painful trial of the grasses, which has mutated her into a powerful and resilient warrior. She's ready to take on a whole new journey in The Witcher 4, which is the first part of the planned new trilogy of single-player open-world RPGs. One thing I am wondering is what happened to her old powers. Does she still have them? Are they suppressed? Did they get removed at the end of The Witcher 3? Did the Trial of the Grasses remove the powers? And also, why did she even go through the Trial of the Grasses? Maybe it's because she lost her powers and now she needed new ones, and who really knows? Comments here we have are, who really thinks Ciri will live up to Geralt's epicness? Character-wise, the dialogues, the options Geralt had of being smart or hitting on girls in his adventure, his voice and everything else that makes him a legend will never be matched by Ciri. And to some extent, I do agree, but we have to put our bias aside. We've known Geralt for many, many years, 3 games, and a massive critically acclaimed The Witcher 3. So it's not really fair to compare Ciri to Geralt just yet. Let's give her a game or two and see how she does, okay? No one can compete with the GOAT. Surely Ciri is skilled and all, but the writing of the dialogue in The Witcher 3 are just not achievable if you have a woman as a protagonist. Even if they were, they would not kick the same way as Geralt. Call me whatever you want, this is factual, not discussing powers, but character detail. As far as I'm concerned, I don't fully agree with this. Geralt is a great, cool, badass character, but because of the Witcher mutation he went through, he is more bland. It's just a fact. He doesn't have as much emotion. He doesn't go get angry. He doesn't cry. He just doesn't do these things. It's very rare for these emotions to pop out. So it's easier to play as a character through him because whatever dialogue option you pick makes sense to the character. Whether it's good or bad, it makes sense. And that's my fire alarm. Love it. Alright, well I'm back from almost being set on fire. Ciri is going to be a more emotionally based character. Also, every time I say Ciri, it pops up on my phone. This is quite annoying. But she's going to have more of a personality than Geralt or any other Witcher ever has just because of when she went through the mutation. I think this can be great in terms of storytelling. It can make things more fun, more emotional, give you more of a connection. But also, as somebody states here, you can't really base any long-going predictions on a 6-minute cinematic. But I think they won't try to outcompete Geralt in Geralt's lane and instead will go with different directions, which is completely right. You can't make a character to compete with Geralt because he's just so beloved. So make a different character. Make someone who's supposed to give the player a different sort of experience. I love how Ciri gets to be her own woman in The Witcher 4. Yeah, this is some soy boy stuff. We're not going to go into that one. We also have comments saying that Ciri is not supposed to be conventionally attractive. I don't see it. If somebody thinks Ciri is not attractive, then I think you're maybe a little bit blind. Yeah, this whole comment is a pile of trash. Bro's looking way too deep into it. She's got a scar. No one cares. Bro, Geralt's got a ton of scars. He's fighting monsters. Because he's a dude that looks badass. But I think the scar looks really cool on Ciri as well. We also have a comparison screenshot from The Witcher 3 and the cinematic here, which again, please be aware, the cinematic for The Witcher 3 looked completely different to Geralt in the actual game footage. So don't just base it off this. But even if we do, they look very similar. I don't see much of a big difference, just more detail. So somebody asks here, why is Ciri a Witcher? I thought women based on the lore can't be interjected with the mutagen cells and drink Witcher potions. And somebody says, Ciri ain't an ordinary woman, and I think the lore is not super clear. They said they tried, but all the girls died. That doesn't mean it's impossible, just that the guy doing it didn't know how to. Or that the women just aren't physically strong enough, but Ciri is a special case because of her blood. In terms of lore, I do think it can make sense, and it's fine to have this one exceptional person that everyone else couldn't become a Witcher, but this person can. It's only an issue if they start saying, well, here's 100 other women and they can all become witches. Then I can see why people would be upset. And there are still a bunch of comments talking about why they're ruining the lore. I honestly believe that people are blowing this a bit out of proportion. And if it wasn't already bad enough on Reddit, Twitter also needed to butt in. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought women can't be witches. And B, I'm so over seeing female girl boss feminist Mary Sue types and have exactly zero interest in playing one. And I kind of agree with the second one because I'm very over seeing the female girl bosses. But this trailer, Ciri got her ass beat. She was losing to the spider. And then because of a circumstance with the water falling, she used some lightning, got out of it, and then managed to kill it. I think it was cool. She didn't just run in there, smacking it up with ease. I just want to see more of the actual game before we make these judgments. What the developers have said on Twitter is one thing, but what they show is far more important. And just for further proof, here we have Geralt in the 2015 cinematic trailer. And then in the game, he looks older here. He looks more detailed. There is a clear difference. It'll be the same with Ciri, so don't worry too much about that. So I think I'm just about done talking about this. There wasn't much to the trailer to talk about and dissect. It was just a lot of cool moments being shown off. I went into Reddit and Twitter just to get people's perspectives on it and show you how people are feeling. The vast majority, even in the YouTube comments and everywhere else, are saying this looks badass. I wouldn't pay too much attention to those who are writing this game off just because it's Ciri. Ciri's a cool character. Everybody liked her in The Witcher 3. To play as her in The Witcher 4, let's wait and see if she's going to be a badass, because no character that they would have introduced before or after The Witcher games is going to hold a candle to Geralt. But if you don't give a character like Ciri a chance, then you're just being disingenuous. But that's just my opinion and you can disagree. But this is the end of the video and my time has come. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.